Welcome back, everyone. You are joining me in my kitchen again. My name is Ozma. I am the author of the Vegigasm Cookbook, and this is the Cooking channel. Today, we are going to make a brand new recipe. We are going to make coconut curry chickpea stew. Oh, coconut curry chickpea stew. Hey! And everybody who has tried my coconut curry chickpea stew loves it. Loves it. Okay? Now, I don't cook just like everybody else. I do my own thing. And anyone who knows me or who has heard of me or seen what I've done knows that I am heavily into herbs and natural healing because I have my own healing journey that I talk about in my cookbook. So, sometimes I add a little herbs, add a little this, add a little that, some healing herbs, not just regular herbs and spices, but I add different things to my food. So, today we are going to make some coconut curry chickpea stew. Some of the benefits of chickpeas are they are a great source of protein and they are rich in iron and fiber. So they're very good if you're trying to get that iron intake up. If you have anemia, that's something that you might be interested in eating things made from chickpeas to help raise your iron levels. And as Dr. Sebi used to talk about, iron oxidizes the blood, which helps the body to heal from various ailments. Mhm. In addition to that, we're going to use a specific flour to kind of thicken our stew. I like to thicken stews with teff flour. Teff is an ancient African grain and it is very, very rich in copper, in zinc, magnesium, iron. It's actually the same grain used to make injera bread. If you ever eaten Ethiopian food, that long, not long, that round piece of bread that's on the plate that all the food goes on top of, that's made from teff flour. Okay, and I actually have some teff flour that we're going to use to thicken our stew. It's a superfood. It's very nutritious, very good for the system. So, what you need for this recipe, you need one, 1.5 to 2 cups of already soaked, pre-soaked chickpeas, or if you're going to use the can, use the can. But chickpeas, yes, chickpeas. Now, if you are going to pre-soak them, what I recommend to do, if you have like the fresh hard chickpeas, what you do is that you soak them overnight. You soak them with a little bit of, you can use lemon juice straight from the lemon or lime juice straight from the lime. You also want to use like half a teaspoon of baking powder because that will help it soften up better and be more easier to eat when you cook it so that it's not too hard or too rough because chickpeas can be kind of hard. We're going to use curry powder, of course. I like to mix my curry powders. So I actually, where's the second one? Think I left it over here somewhere. But we are going to use curry powder. Either if we have one, we got one. We're going to rock out. We're also going to I'm using some roasted garlic powder. But you can use any garlic powder or you can use the option to not use garlic. That's completely fine. If you want to make it, if the garlic is not really your thing. I'm also going to use some sea salt, some parsley. I like to use parsley, oregano, not just for the healing properties, but because it just makes things to me look so beautiful when you serve it in the pot. I'm going to use my homemade moringa seasoning blend. That's going to give more nutrients. That's going to give more minerals and more vitamins to your food. And also, I just wanted to touch a little bit on zinc. Zinc is excellent with fighting viruses. And a lot of us are dealing with the coronavirus. So zinc is something that's often prescribed. If you take elderberries or things like that, they usually have zinc in it because it's very good with fighting viruses and viral infections. In addition to all of this, I'm going to use some mixed peppercorn medley. I didn't even open it up yet. See that? I'm going to, of course, use a block of coconut cream from the block. I'm going to use a pinch of these crushed chili peppers to give it a little more color. And last but certainly not least, I'm going to use my big sister's seasoning. My big sisters are actually the owners and creators of Indulge Catering in North Carolina. And they make their own seasoning just like I do. And they have this seasoning. It's so delicious and it's going to be really, really good inside of this curry coconut chickpea stew. Last but not least, oh, to add, I almost forgot, I'm going to use an onion because I like to chop them up fine and put it inside the stew sometimes. Now, this is a Vidalia onion. You can use a white onion. You can use a red onion. Whatever onion you want to use. You freestyle and put your own energy into it. So first, I want to give thanks to this onion and give thanks to these chickpeas and to these beautiful seasonings that are going to help us enjoy and have some really good flavors and foods. Thank you for being the sacrifice to help us um, eat and have the flavors on our taste buds to stimulate our taste buds. Thank you to the water that we're going to help us cook it in. And thank you to all the elements, the earth, air, water, and the fire, the earth that grows the food, the air that helps to create and that's inside of every single element, and the fire that we're going to use in my pot, for my pot, to heat the food up. You know what I mean? So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do, you guys, is I'm going to pour my chickpeas inside of my pot. Let me move this out the way so you guys can see. It's beautiful. I love these pots. They're so cute. I'm going to pour it right in my pot. And I have some filtered water, which I love. I'm going to put maybe 1 cup of filtered water inside of here. Let's see how much. Oh, I almost forgot, you guys. Y'all gotta remind me, we gotta play the music. How we gonna cook without the music? Let me get the music going. All right, now we're ready to rock and roll. So I put 1 cup. Over time, if the water dissolves too much, I can always add more water, right? So I'm gonna put my heat on medium. Let me turn the music down a little bit so it won't be too loud for you guys to hear me. Turn that down a little bit. We can jam, but not too loud, right? And while this is starting to cook, I'm going to add in some of my seasonings. I'm not going to add the teff flour into a little bit later. So I'm going to add some of my moringa seasoning. Wait, what's going on? I'm running out. I guess I used this a little too much. If you're interested in purchasing my moringa seasoning, feel free to go to Return to Pachamama herbs.com, and you'll see different formulas as well as my seasoning. My moringa infused seasoning that was inspired by a good friend and mentor of mine, Mama Herb. Sorry, I'm trying to get this out of here. I gotta make some more, you guys, because my whole big jar that I keep all of my moringa seasoning blend in is running out. But you can pair this recipe with different things. You can pair this recipe with some fresh greens, some raw greens. You can pair this recipe with some brown rice. If you eat white rice, white rice. You can pair this recipe with many different things. I've paired it one time with quinoa and some sliced avocados. You know what I mean? And it just looked really beautiful and pretty, and it was so, so, so delicious. Like, everybody that tried it was like, oh my God, this is so good. Yes. So I'm going to add some sea salt. Maybe about a tablespoon of sea salt. Ooh. I'm going to definitely add my big sis seasoning. Both my big sisters. Oh, 2 of my big sisters. Precious and Jay. Got y'all season that up in here. It's good to sing to the food, y'all. Ah, 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 ah. That's how you make the food taste good. You gotta dance and sing to your food. And I have maybe like 1/4 of a block of coconut cream. And I like to have a good balance of the curry and coconut flavor. So if I don't taste enough coconut, then it's a little too more curry or too curry or a little or not enough curry. Just season to taste. Add a little more, but add it little by little so you can get the desired flavor and you don't overdo something. I'm also going to add my curry, which is going to give it this beautiful golden kind of color to it. But it also gives it a different type of the scent. Oh, it smells so good, y'all. Smells so good, y'all. Smells so good, y'all. Mm, mm, mm. I wish Lupe would come back out. I love his music. I want to know you guys' feedback. Did you try the mushroom bacon recipe? And also, when you guys try this one, I would love to know what y'all think about this recipe. This one, it's so good. Put some shakes of this black peppercorn. This is actually a peppercorn medley grinder, so it has a mixture of different types of peppers. A little bit of red pepper, black pepper, some medley. It's kind of a mixture of it all. I like to go a little heavy with it because it's not extra spicy like a cayenne or like a paprika will be a little more. And you can also substitute paprika for it if you want to stick more to, if you're more aligned and you're eating towards the alkalinity with Dr. Sebi's school of thought. So feel free to tweak the recipe however it works for you. Let me see. I'm going to add some of this garlic, this roasted garlic. I love garlic. It tastes so good. But if you don't want to use garlic, you can also use onion powder. You can get a similar kind of taste to it. Some of this pretty parsley, so pretty parsley. I love this instrument, so I might have to turn this up. Parsley, so pretty parsley, thank you. So I'm going to slice my onion. I'm going to show you how I'm going to slice my onion because I don't want thick chunks of onion specifically for this stew. There's other recipes where I love to put thick chunks of onions, but not for this stew personally. But if you like it that way, feel free to do it that way. I'm going to cut this onion kind of how my mama does when she cuts her onions. Peel some of this outer layer off. And I would love you guys' feedback, some comments, any questions. So what I'm going to do, the way I'm going to cut this is I'm going to cut it like a grid. I'm going to cut it in a plaid pattern because it's going to give me lots of small cubes, which is something my mama does. Usually use the cutting board. I just cook. So, but to be on the safer side, lean on the cutting board. I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes. That's why I'm not on the cutting board itself. I kind of want to make small cubes of this because when I go to let it go inside the pot, it's going to be small cubes. So almost like a plaid pattern. I don't know if you guys can see. I hope you guys can. So then after I make the plaid pattern, I'm going to slice it. And you're going to see how it comes out in these cubes. Let me show y'all. See? All these little cubes. Oops. We're going to let all this cook down every now and then. Stir it to make sure that the seasoning gets through everything. Gets well throughout the pot. Some of these didn't cut as far down, but that's okay. It's okay to make mistakes, y'all. That's how we grow, right? Hey, hey. When I was a teacher, my students used to crack up. I taught preschool mainly, and I taught first grade. And they would crack up when I would sing, like in the lows of my voice. Hey. They found it so funny, especially the preschoolers. They'd go, it was so cute. I miss my students. I ain't gonna front, I miss my students. Okay. Put these little chunks in here. And make sure they're coming out as these chunks. I didn't cut it as far down, but that's okay. Let me stir this up. I got a spoon waiting for me right here. Ready, little small spoon, but I'm gonna stir this around. And I want you guys to see what this looks like so far. So let me bring my computer over so you guys can see what it looks like inside of the pot. See that? And that coconut cream, as it breaks down, that big chunk in the middle, it's going to give it, it's going to help thicken the texture. And it's also going to give it this creaminess, this natural creaminess. It's going to be really delicious. Let me stir this up. It looks so pretty and it smells so good. We're going to let this cook down for maybe about a good 10 to 15 minutes, and then we're going to check on it again. And then we may either add more water depending on how the liquid consistency is inside of the pot. And then we're going to add some of our teff flour. With the teff flour, we can add maybe a third of a cup, maybe a fourth of a cup. We don't need but so much, but it's a good thickener. I like to use it. It's a little pricey depending on where you buy it, but it's worth it because of the mineral content to me. So we're going to check on it in a few. I'm going to add, and this is completely optional, I'm going to add some crushed chili for color because I wanted to have the contrast of the golden kind of color with the red. I think it looks really pretty, but if you're sensitive to spice, do not add this in. It might make it too spicy for you, and you won't be able to enjoy it. So I want you to be able to enjoy everything that you cook. Cooking is very important, and it's an art to it, you know? So now it's been about a good 10 to 15 minutes, so I'm going to add some teff flour. Let me see how much I'm going to add. I talked about doing maybe a fourth of a cup. Maybe half of a fourth of a cup. Half of a third of a cup, actually. Yeah. Let's see. Because the liquid is still really good in there. What about this much? So this is a fourth of a cup right here on this line. So I'm going to put half of that inside of my pot. And I'm going to stir it around. It smells so good, y'all. Oh my gosh, it smells really, really good. You guys are going to love this. Stir it. It's getting this thick, creamy texture to it. It's really, oh my gosh. You're going to love this. Now this is a little chunky, but that's okay. As you stir it, as it cooks down, it's not going to be as chunky. It's going, because teff flour is not a very, it's not the type of flour like a spelt or like a white flour. Let me turn the fire down a little bit. I know I had it on medium, but I'm going to put it a little bit lower because I want it to cook down really good. So it's not as sticky of a texture and consistency to it. It melts down pretty fast in liquid. I'm going to add some more water because I want it to be more of a stew. I'm going to add some more filtered water. still have some teff at the bottom. I'll just add my water in there, and that's okay. I'm gonna add half a cup of water. I'm gonna stir some more. I'm going to show you what this looks like. And then we're going to see the finished product when I add it with a couple of other dishes and things like that. We're going to see how beautiful it looks after. Let me show you what it looks like right now. Oops, let me hold my computer well. Ah, I know I'm not very tech savvy, y'all. I'm learning how to use all of this. But you see how it's getting that stew kind of look to it? See, that's a little bit of a chunk of the tough flour, but that's going to cook down and not be as thick in texture. But you see, it has a creaminess to it. You see? And the tough flour doesn't have any like funny aftertaste or anything like that, so don't worry about the tough flour. You don't have to use tough flour. You can use chickpea flour if you want. You can use whatever flour that you would like to use. I just like to use teff. Sometimes you'll see me in a dish put like dandelion root leaves, like dried ones, not fresh ones, because fresh ones have a very bitter taste to it. So I wouldn't put it in a cooking dish per se, but I would use it for other things. Um, so you can feel free to do something like that. And dandelion root and dandelion leaves are actually great blood cleansers. They actually are very high in iron. They're good blood cleansers, and they also help to clear up the skin because they're blood cleansers. Okay. So I'm going to show you the finished product when we come back. So while the food is still cooking, I also want to know if there's any recipes put in the comment that you would like me to make. Feel free to, um, if you check out my Instagram, Veggiegasm Cookbook Instagram, I post a lot of recipes and not recipes, but a lot of foods that I cook. If you want the recipe for it, let me know. In the summertime, I tend to make my watermelon cake and certain things that are also in the cookbook. Those are actually in particular in the cookbook. Um, but in addition to all of that, um, I did want to say if there is any kind of thing that you guys are interested in me making, just let me know. And if you have children who are sick and it's hard to give little kids medicine, I know, even though I'm not a mother, I know as an early childhood teacher, and the years and the capacity that I work with families, in different capacities, whether the foster care system or kind of stuff. Sometimes, kids get sick and they really don't want to taste the medicine. And being a kid, I remember not wanting to drink the medicine because it's like, it tastes so nasty, even though they've made it a lot better since I was a kid. Um, but one thing that I do make for some of my family and friends is what I call my herbal iced tea, where I take a specific blend of herbs for different types of ailments, for adults or for children, and I make it into a sweet tea, very sweet tea tasting kind of thing. But they're not drinking sweet tea, they're drinking medicine, even though it tastes like sweet tea. So that's something, if you want the recipe for, or one of my recipes for my herbal iced tea, feel free to mention it in the comments as well or in the chat. Okay? We're going to stay tuned because we're going to see the finished final product. I whipped up a couple of other things that I'm adding because I'm not going to just do the chickpea stew by itself. So you guys can just see I whipped up some sauteed mushrooms and so a different type of pepper, well, green peppers, onions, different types of squash that I put together and just sauteed it down with some nice delicious seasonings. And I'm also making some greens back here that we're going to have, and I'm going to put it all together so you guys can see the finished product soon. Okay, so everything is completely done. I want you guys, I'm gonna see if I can angle this so you guys can see how delicious this is. Oh my gosh, these chickpeas came out so freaking good. I got my sauteed mushrooms and peppers and squash, and I have my greens. Oh, yes. When you're making plant-based meals, it's always important or really good to just have some greens somewhere. My last video, I didn't have any greens that I showed, but I had a green juice, which goes with it really good. Um, and this is going to be so freaking amazing and awesome. I'm so excited to eat this. So thank you everybody for joining me. Thank you for all your love and support. I appreciate you. And stay tuned for the next episode. And stay tuned for when I start my spring equinox cleanse. Because you know we've been putting on some weight during COVID, but that's okay because weight is something that can come on and go off. All right? As long as you love yourself, that's all that matters. Peace.